Everybody, welcome back to the One Ring Second Edition. This is our campaign, I think tentatively entitled The Ruin of Numenor. With us tonight is Wanderer playing Targon. We have Zypher playing Baranor. And we have Sim playing Hallas. Let's go ahead and get to it. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we played, guys. Looking forward to this. All right. White Mountains. Let's go ahead and show the Woses for now. There we go. Let's do a little bit of the woods. And we will go to our introduction. There you go. As the late summer wanes in the White Mountains, the summits turn white with freshly fallen snow. In the valleys and low forests, green still clings to the branches despite crisp temperatures and winds from the north. It is an early Sunday morning when Targon, Baranor, and Hallas set out on their journey. This time they descend the north side of the mountains, ever turning east, along switchbacks, ravines, rocky paths that crunch beneath their boots. As they leave the home of the Woses, they look back one last time. Smoke rises from the trees, and the savory scent of roasted venison and squash, seasoned with salt and pepper, fills the air. It reminds them that, though Bukagan and his people are safe in their alpine home, they are headed into the wilderness and into the unknown. Soon enough, the sound of the Woses fades, along with the comforting flicker of fires and the smell of cooked food. After several hours' journey, you enter a dense, verdant forest near the northern foothills. Squirrels cross your path, chittering to themselves, busy gathering acorns and seeds for the mild winter. At one point, a large red fox perches upon a cliff and looks upon your forms. "These are queer times," the fox says to himself, in a manner of speaking known only to foxes and the other beasts of that land. "3 men? Alone? Leaving the safety of the Woses and going forth into the dark, as autumn sets in, no less, and with winter to follow?" The fox shakes his head. Do they know that the shadow now rises in the east? The fox, whose name is Lightfoot Furfoot, shakes his head and bounds along the cliff, following the 3 tiny shapes. A small gray squirrel is now at his side. The squirrel, whose name is Seedlip, replies, "Do not bother, Forefoot. Men are always being rash. They just as soon run into a burning forest than flee it, and are just as likely to squander their stores than to prepare for the winter. Bah! Leave them be, my friend. We are of these woods and of these mountains and the streams and the fields. They are something else entirely. Queer times indeed. And with that elf walking about, though I do love his harp, it is a business we should not be mixed up in." Furfoot and Sealip then disappear into the woods, leaving Targon, Baranor, and Hallas to continue on their journey as the first leaves of autumn begin to fall. And I'll going to go ahead and activate that scene. Let's see. Baranor, Hallas, Targon. And I'll let you guys open it up with some role play as you leave the Roses and you head down the mountains, heading to the north and to the east, slowly winding your way down into the foothills, into the lower lands beyond. Every once in a while, as you crest a hill or a cliff, you see a tiny ribbon of blue glittering in the distance. You know this from your maps as the Great Anduin River, which courses along north to south along Middle-earth. And that's where you're heading. I'll let you guys take it away.
Been a long season. Woses. Quiet time, a chance to chance to reflect and relax, but Targon ever been leaving the camp, searching for signs of the shadow, signs of all. Still convinced that some group that find he can wipe them, whatever they allude. Every time he returned to the camp, he was always pleased to see Hallas, and every time he told himself resolve things with Baranor. Once again, they would be inseparable. But every time, misunderstandings, wounds, suspicion, darkness growing in each of them, they can only see in each other, drove them apart. Harsh words piled upon each other, and the wedge has grown even more dramatic. So now Targon is walking in silence, barely looking.
Baranor, for most of the time in the camp, would consult with Bakugan, try and learn about the lore of the land that surrounds them. There has been a part of him since the beginning that he felt that he would not return to Numenor, and the more time he spent with Bakugan, the more time he spent in these lands, the more he is realizing that for him there is no way back home. Uh, he can't explain why, but even in his dreams, he cannot see the shiny spires of Numenor anymore. And speaking of dreams, dark they have been of late. He couldn't explain why every time he tried to do the right thing, the wrong would happen. Why every time he tried to say the right words to mend any bridges with anyone, um, all they ended up doing was burning those bridges. Until that night, the night before they left the camp, when he realized that the wolf pendant that he had been wearing all this time was the source of this darkness within him. When he read the book with its black words and sense of death all around it, he realized that what his brother has been speaking about, what he calls the shadow, may after all exist. And if it does exist, it exists in a insidious, subversive fashion on this land. Isn't he a Numenorian after all? Isn't he supposed to be resistant to this? And if he is not resistant, then how will the people of this land be resistant? Every step he takes in the shadow of his brother, he knows that a moment is going to come where their destinies are not going to be aligned anymore. Is it because of that Wraith's curse that night? Is it because of the pendant he's been wearing? Is it because of the book he read? Is it because just the air they breathe? The thoughts were right when we left. I know that. Our intentions were good. But somewhere along the way, our intentions and our fate stopped being under our command. Now we are like kites in the wind, And sometimes the wind is warm and caring, and sometimes it is cold, dark, and icy. Baranor does not know what the days ahead is going to bring him, but he does know that his time with his brother is going to be short. It is going to come to an end. He cannot say how, but he knows it deep in his heart.
And you head down out of the mountains over the course of several days and several nights, and as you descend, the first hints of autumn and winter start to go away as you come down into a lower altitude, and eventually you emerge on the north side of the mountains. Let's go ahead and show your travel here. There you go. You guys should be able to see, correct?
Yep.
So I'll do a journey here. It's about a 5-day journey from the Woes camp down towards the river. As you kind of head down out of the mountains and enter into dense forests. Remember, this is not Gondor yet. There's no Minas Tirith. There's no towns or settlements of men, at least in this area. There may be some to the east, and every once in a while, as you crest a large hill, it's even if you might see from the far side of the river some smoke rising from a village or town. But for the most part, it's untamed wilderness. So assign journey roles. I need a guide, hunter, lookout, and scout. There can be only one guide, and you can double up on the other stuff if you'd like. I think guide is the person with the highest travel. Yeah, it's probably the best.
I have 3 in travel. Anybody's got 3
Okay.
or more?
Yeah, no. Rounds.
What you, Sim?
What was it? You broke up?
What role do you want? We're going to have Zypher be the guide, and what do you other guys want to do?
There is hunter, lookout, and scout.
I can take a look out.
What is lookout? Lookout is which skill?
Yeah.
Lookout does awareness.
Okay.
All 3 of them are just.
About the same there. Yeah, he'll take the scout role.
Okay. Set journey path. Already did that for you guys. It's going to be 5 hexes. I'm not going to worry about the terrain too much. Marching test. Determine which guide rolls travel. All right, Mr. Zypher, roll. Give me a travel roll.
Travel. Here we go.
I can bring your tokens out if you need them. Oh, you need it.
Success. Woo!
Success. If success, the event happens 3 hexes along journey, plus 1 hex for any additional success icon. So 3 into the journey. Very good. So you make it to about 1, 2, make it to about here. So you come down out of the mountains, kind of onto the fields, and now you're in kind of more flat, rolling terrain with large coniferous trees on each side of you. Now we're going to resolve events. Roll on event target. So somebody roll me a d6.
That's Zypher.
5. So 5 is hunter. You guys didn't pick a hunter, did you?
Nope.
Oh, so you rolled again. Not hunting, a d6. Let's do roll.
Great success.
Another
Great
hunter.
success.
Another one. 4. Look out. Awareness.
That'll be me.
Okay. That'd be you. You get all of these, don't you?
Yep, and then I fail.
Roll on it.
Then bad things
Yeah,
happen.
roll. Roll on event table. Here's the event table. So roll me a feat die there, young man. Slash R 1 DF, I think.
Yeah.
Oh!
Yes!
Oh!
Joyful sight. If roll succeeds, everyone in the company regains 1 hope.
If roll succeeds.
Yep.
Okay,
If the
awareness
rolls
then.
succeed. Awareness. You can use hope. Because if you use hope and you get it, you just get it back.
Yeah,
I
use
should
the
have
hope.
thought of
No.
that.
Oh!
Fail.
No.
You rolled an eye.
I
You
rolled
rolled
a
a
9.
nine.
I would have just wasted that hope.
So what happened? What happens here?
Okay, so
As a lookout, how'd you screw up?
yeah, so I'm just thinking lookout as opposed to scout. So I guess at some point I am I'm on watch at night, and I'm not keeping an eye out, and wolves actually steal some of our stores. Packs there with food in, and that gets a bunch of us.
All right, I'll let you guys kind of role play that. So 3 nights have gone past. You're getting closer and closer to the river, and you guys wake up one morning, and Targon is sleeping, and you notice that a lot of your stores have been taken away by wolves. You see a lot of let's say that it rained the night before, and you see like tracks all around you guys, and like it took half of your food. I'll let you guys role play that.
Baranor looks at Targon. He looks at Hallas, shakes his head, and if a body language could say "I can't even," that's 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 what Baranor's body language is about. And he turns around and starts, preparing the camp for, to kind of bring the camp down and get ready for the next day's journey. He's just he can't even get into it right now with Targon. Also, they'll never leave this place. So he just turns his back to Targon and um, starts picking up after the camp and kind of wrapping it all up.
Saying anything?
Yeah, Alice is after being with the 2 brothers for the journey so far, and realizing that things are amiss now. Looks over at Baranor and sees his look, and kind of looks over at Targon. Well, this is quite interesting. Did we mean for this to happen?
Targon sort of stirs and is like, wakes up and then sort of realizes he was asleep on watch. Quickly kind of like jumps to his feet and being very bleary and looking around. And then when he sees the stores, he just he's obviously angry at it. He was awake far too late in Hallas's watch. Should have been getting sleep. He was brooding everything. Their lack of success on West, their lack of ability to kind of clear their families or clear their family's name or make their family's name, and his relationship with his brother, and now his failure to find this surely small group of orcs out. And because of that, when he got onto watch, trying to watch after just camping all night, really did it to himself, and he knows that, and he is bitter. He starts gathering up the stuff and gives a sort of apologetic glance to Hallas. He knows that Baranor's got a definite, real complaint against him here, and he couldn't really say anything if Baranor criticised him. And just you can see the thought of that is just stewing in him. Oh, he'd really have me on this. Really winding him up. But he's just kind of tidying everything up and muttering and angry at himself and angry at the world.
Hollis would see the look of disdain on Targon's face and go over to him and slap him on the back. Well, it is not totally all your fault. Obviously, we should have been aware ourselves. So, I do say, do not punish yourself too much for this. But one wrong turn can turn into a grand adventure. You never know.
Targon looks kind of genuinely surprised that Hallas hadn't got more recriminations. He manages a sort of tight-lipped smile. You can tell he's trying to smile, but he's just so angry at himself. Thank you, my friend. I could forgive myself as he done this since I was a recruit. Too much staying awake and brooding. Thoughts these days, I discipline them as much as the ill things have happened.
This I understand. Again, you're not to be too hard on yourself. Mistakes are nothing but something to learn from. After all, if you fail to lift from your knees, you shall recognize the pain of a sore back. This fits in the same way. If you fail to recognize where you're going or signs and ways of travel, you shall have some pain, but it's a lesson.
Targon nods. Yes, a way to see it. Glances at Baranor and glances away again. Eye contact. And I will try and replenish our stores. Maybe we should nod in as we run. I will think on it today as we try.
Hallas would give you a slight smile. Yes, but do not think on it too much. Brooding leads to failures.
Brooding led to this one, my friend. Thank you. Targon back as well. Does look grateful. You don't think he's been able to take this without not brooding on it. He understands the wisdom in it. You can see he's
What
trying.
does the younger brother do?
Baranor just completely ignores Targon. He, upon hearing Hallas's words, just shakes his head, um, mutters something under his breath as he kind of gathers his things and uh, looks back at them and just says, "Shall we?"
You pack up your things, and the mood is somewhat morose as you might have perhaps filled your belly with what breakfast you could make. You're far away from orcs or any prying eyes, at least you hope so. And so, past few mornings, you've had a little bit of the smoked venison and some other food stores that were given to you by Bukagan and his people. Certainly not Numenorian fare, but it was hearty enough and filled your belly and fueled your muscles for the long journey ahead. But going forth, you thought it the better part of wisdom not to eat breakfast because you're going to have to make do with less for the rest of your journey, thanks to these wolves or other vermin that have carried off your stores. You arise and you leave one forest and tramps through some fields. Looking back behind you, you can see the white mountains looming high overhead. And now that the temperature has dropped a little bit, you can see that the snow covered tips of it extends about halfway down the mountain. And as the sun rises overhead, it glitters off of the ice. But down below where you are, it's only the tips of the leaves that are starting to turn very warm hues of oranges and reds and golds. As you go forward, you notice even that under your feet are decaying leaves, as if the entire land is going to sleep or starting to hibernate, or even some would say die as winter approaches. Baranor, make me an awareness check, please.
Cool. Open my sheet. Awareness.
Failure.
Baranor is, as kind of he's leading the group, but he's just so furious right now with the situation with Targon, um, and furious with himself for trusting Targon. He just said he could have just stayed up himself. That he is not being swift or light-footed. He's actually trudging through the forest in the direction that they're supposed to be going, completely unaware of whatever is around him.
And as you walk, you pick up your right foot, Baranor, and it's as if something grabs your foot. And you look down, and it's just too late. You tumble to the ground. And it looks like something like a root has sprung up from the ground, twisted around your ankle, and pulls you down with it. As you fall down, you fall into what looks to be a decaying and rotten tree trunk. But as you fall into this tree trunk, the splinters kind of go up all over you. There's these like wooden sawdust stuff. We've all seen this detritus, this rotten trunk. But when you look at the tree, it's as if it's been hacked and hewn apart. And then you look at the tree, and it's almost as if you can see a face in it, Baranor. And that face seems to open up a pair of green, baleful eyes, and you kind of hear it speak to you, and it says,
"Run away."
And then the voice stops and it goes silent, and the root that has control of your right ankle just goes limp and falls to the ground.
Does anybody else see that?
You're a little bit further up ahead, so they see you fall, but they don't see the other stuff.
Baranor kind of gets up and shakes himself. He is unsure what he saw or heard, but then he is sure of what he saw and heard. He pulls out his sword and goes closer to the tree to inspect it. Did this tree speak to him? Did it say what he heard? Run away? Run away where?
As you pull out your sword, you look at it, and the face is still there. It's just a mess of gnarled roots, but they're certainly there. It's closed eyes, a nose, and a mouth that looks like a crack within this tree. And the tree is rotting, and it's just covered with what looks to be wounds of some sort. You can give me a lore check if you would like, Baron. Are you still wearing that wolf thing, or did you take it off?
No, I threw that off.
You threw it away.
Throw it away into the depths of the night along with the book.
Negative. You have not seen anything like this before. Nope.
Yeah, Baranor is just standing there. He's just dumbfounded.
So, Targon and Hallas, you see Baranor fall up ahead of you, and he kind of unsheathes his sword and stands looking at the ground. What are you guys doing?
Targon kind of glances across to Hallas and calls out, "Baranor, are you well?"
Yeah, Hallas, as Targon is saying, they would holler with him as well, and with the smile on his face. Have you been drinking the brandy stores?
I wish I was. But no. I can say that I am clear-headed, but what has just happened does not make much sense. Come here carefully and look at this tree. I feel why my mind was elsewhere. My foot got tangled up in a root of this tree. And while I fell, it's as if the tree spoke to me and said I must run away.
Hallas is staring at him a little wide-eyed and looks over at Targon. Did he say the tree spoke to him?
He did. And Targon sort of looks at this tree, and like a lot of trees, if you look hard enough, you can imagine a face, and he thinks that's all it is. This brother, we have all looked at a tree and seen a face that is not there. The eye conjures faces where there are none. All know this. Why make of it anything more? The ground here is uneven. Roots tangle the feet.
That may be. Yes. Be wary. This place might not seem what it is.
As Baranor stands with his sword unsheathed, try this unsheathed sound. See that? Yeah. Hallas and Targon stand looking down at this, what seeming to them appears as if just a ruined, chopped down, decaying tree trunk There's the sound suddenly. The woods go completely quiet. And I want all three of you to make a scan check for me.
As soon as the woods go quiet, though, Targon's expression changes. That's not good.
Got some eyes tonight.
Yeah, Hallas, of course, would pull a sword as well, but he, looking around, befuddled.
You guys stand looking at this tree, and you hear a voice behind you say,
Who goes there? Why do you as your gaze wander to the ground? Let the slain rest and flee this forest.
and turning around, you see looming over you a giant tree, kind of, it's bent over you, all three of you, and its arms are kind of outstretched, knobby, with a few clinging, rotten leaves, and it kind of leans its head in towards you, seemingly not even worried about your swords, and especially says into Targon's face, "What are you doing here?" And I want all three of you to make a wisdom check, and if you fail that, you get 1 shadow point from fear.
Let me check my hopeful.
Hey! Targon gets a shadow point. Those of you who have not rolled lore could also roll lore if you'd like.
Oh yeah.
Man, you guys have some bad rolls tonight. That one's even favored. Great success. Okay, all the three of you. Only Targon has heard rumors and stories of not only the Ents, but of the Huorns. It is rumored that long ago, in the first age of Middle-earth in particular, there were entire forests of trees who were conscious, that who had awakened and had a life of their own. They are known as the shepherds of the trees. There are also rumors that many of these, in the age of Balerion, had fallen under the dominion of the Shadow. And though some of them remain pure of heart, others, unfortunately, were not thus. And the Huorn now that is before you kind of shakes his head side to side and begins to speak. Rotheart, here we go. And it says,
Thou who treads over mountain and over leaf, whose boots of man make travel forest paths, halt and go no further, lest a cruel end come to thee. For this place is rotten, and it hath entered mine own heart. Once one of slow mood and slower speech, in wrath I chose haste in dispatching both beasts and my brethren. For there is no hope where the shadow lies, and all shall be frozen unto the death, or wither within my new lord's gaze. Flee here! Leave me alone, and your bones will not be splintered, as I hath visited upon moss beam here. Go now, and flee.
Targon backs away a little. Says, "You are a shepherd of the trees, a shepherd of the forest. I've heard of your kind. Yet I see a blight upon you. And as he's backing away, he's kind of slowly unlimbering his shield as well, not making any sudden moves, but kind of backing away, looking for a defensive spot. Tell me of this new lord you serve.
Rotheart takes a step closer even as you back away, Targon, and his gaze now falls on Hallas and Baranor. And he says,
My business is my own, interlopers. Do not heed my words? Who are you but three small things trembling upon this earth? This forest is mine, mine to rule, mine alone. Do you think you can save me? It is too late!
Save you from what? Oh, he has an idea.
The shadow. The shadow that will wither all living things, turn what is green to brown, turn daylight to night, turn blood to ash, and hope to fear.
You serve a lord of that shadow deep. What do you have come to? Does your desire to let us depart, that you have not been consumed by the shadow yet?
the Huorn then takes a step back and kind of stands up to its full height, and he looks skyward, and you can see the reflection of the blue sunlight down on his baleful green eyes. And there's a gust of wind, Hallas and Baranor and Targon, and with that gust of wind, the canopy kind of parts for a moment, and those rotten leaves give way, and there's this beautiful blue sky overhead that kind of shines down on Rotheart. And he says,
Though the rot spreads quickly with my own veins, I wish to spare thee. You have much insight, man. From where do you hail?
Far westerness across the sea. Wave, a mountain, a veil become. We seek to oppose this shadow. They cannot be opposed. Yet oppose it we to oppose it we shall strive against it to our last breath.
Rotheart kind of shakes his head as if he's shaking off some sort of malady, some sort of illness that runs through the quick of his marrow. Hallas and Baranor, what are you guys doing?
Baranor is just standing there with his sword drawn. His eyes are fixed on Rotheart, but he's giving sidelong glances to Targon and seeing Targon in conversation with the Rotheart. He just waits in anticipation for the next move by the awakened tree.
Yeah, Hollis is staring at the tree. He's not showing any fear of it, because he feels that would be a bad idea. So he's also staring at Rotheart here, and trying to slide himself into a position of advantage against him. You know, not directly in front of him, but more to his side, to allow himself to maneuver better. While he also keeps an eye on Targon to see how this conversation ends.
Okay, we'll do a council. So the threshold will be 3 for this guy. Targon, you seem to be kind of introducing the group here, so I'm gonna have you do. You can do all, courtesy, and or riddle to introduce yourselves to the to Rotheart.
So I have 1, 1, or 0. I guess I'll go for.
Mm-hmm.
We got a hope pool still.
Yep, the hope pool renews after every session, so you have 3 hope points to use in the pool.
Anyone mind if I use one of those?
Nope. Those
go ahead.
remember those get replenished. Just we'll keep track of them. When you guys take a short rest, those can be replenished. So just use hope as normal for now.
No.
A failure. So you have 3. The threshold is 3. You have to get 3 successes, and you only have 3 tries.
So Targon does introduce the others, but as much as he tries to be polite and talk about, come to your forest with against the forest, it's kind of obvious that as he's saying it, he's sizing up Rotheart as a potential opponent as well. And although he's not aggressive, he's not seeking combat, he's obviously preparing for it to happen. That really undermines the courtesy.
Yeah, the Huorn kind of takes a step back.
You speak mildly, yet all 3 of you all bear your blades. I shall react as if they were axes. Do you wish to hew me down? You come speaking sweet words, but your bright steel frightens me.
Targon will, a little reluctance, my apologies, startled us, and he will
watching Targon sheath his sword, Baranor actually takes his eye off the enemy and looks at Targon. And then nods and sheaths his sword as well.
Yeah, Hallas is takes the cue and will put his in his teeth as well. Although thinking to himself, this may not be a good idea.
the look on Targon's face.
There. That's better, my little human. Put away bright steel so we may talk. And whether I decide to grind you into the ground, that is my business. Now, what is your business in these woods, and why do you travel to the east? You know that way lies only death and despair.
Let's do the rolls real quick, and then we can figure out how the role play goes. So you guys get 3 rolls. You need to come up with 3 successes, and a 10 more icon counts as an extra success too. By the way, so you can use persuade, riddle, song, enhearten, or insight.
I can do song. You decide what you want to do, Hallas.
Yeah, Hallas will do it in Harden.
I'll do.
Okay, you only get 3 rolls, so you guys can go.
Apologize in advance about what.
Great success.
Ooh.
That's 2 successes.
Nice.
That's 2. You have 2 out of 3.
You're welcome.
And as Meatloaf said, 2 out of 3.
Well, you need 3. You need 3. You have 2 more tries.
You arguing
That's
with
pretty good,
Meatloaf?
though.
Go next.
Yes.
Hey, that's 4.
Hey.
That's 4. I'll let you go just for flavor.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Against all odds, how does this
Targon
go?
finally succeeded at something because there's no impact.
So, how's this go? Let's give Baranor and Hallas the spotlight.
Go ahead, Hallas.
All right. So Hallas, seeing that the conversation is going south, kind of steps forward a little boldly. I know not of your people or your kingdom or your forest, but I do have reverence of them. For it is the trees that give us the shade, provides us the fruit. It is the trees that provide us houses and strength. Yes, this may be your kingdom, and we may be trespassers upon it. But trust me when I say we mean no harm to it, for we do not seek to destroy what you call yours, for we only seek to move through it, and to have it provide us a shelter during the night, and some warmth during the cold. For yes, we may be heading towards the way of death and despair, but that must make you raise the question of why us? Why are we? Perhaps it's because we seek to right some wrongs, or see for ourselves. For adventure is the key to every human's heart. Not sure about your people, but I do sense that you have traveled greatly, seeing many things, and anything new, well, it brings you joy as well.
And Rotheart kind of takes 2 large steps back. You feel the ground tremble under his heft as he moves backwards, his large, stump-like feet digging into the moss. And he says,
I have given up all hope, yet the 3 of you stand before me, and you do not seem frightened. You, little man, you have much heart and bravery. You do not fear death by my hand, and you travel willingly into the east. Though I have lost hope, a sliver of it now worms its way again into Rotheart's belly. Is there hope for me to be redeemed? I have slain so many of my brethren in this forest. I meant to bring it under my dominion.
and then I'll let Baranor raise his voice in song to calm the beast further.
Baranor looks upon the tree and he sighs. It is not for us to say whether our actions are just or fell. It is the destination we all end up in that determines all our actions together. You still have a chance of redemption. You can still take care of this forest.
The Huorn now kind of comes down to your level. It kneels down before you, Baranor. So its green eyes are kind of even with yours, and he looks deep into your soul. And he says,
Very well. I will not slay thee, and I will repent of my wicked ways. The three of you, as I have said, have brought hope again to this land. But you still have not told me your business, and while you travel to the east, you speak in vague generalities. Do you not know that the Iron King there rules, and he brings slavery into the land? He burns the forests, he pollutes the rivers, and he makes slaves and minions of all beasts and all men.
Targon looks up at Rotheart and said, seen some signs of seems that orcs long thought slain and stirring in these lands would root them out again. Thought destroyed before, thus shall they be destroyed. That is our quest. The great enemy is gone, but some of his servants will remain in these lands. Seeing thee come upon your forest, fear that something greater than still. Ours is not to understand our fate, it is but to meet it.
The Huorn looks at you and says, "Very well. Follow me. I will show you the way to the river and the way out of this forest."
You need
As he does that, you hear what sounds like another set of footsteps in the forest behind you. And as you turn around, you see a slender form moving through the forest, and you hear a blade being drawn. And you hear a fair voice kind of say into the woods, "I thought the three of you would surely perish, and I would have to slay Rotheart. But against all odds, you cured what ails him. Stop and go no further. I feel the need to introduce myself. It has been too long since I spoke with anybody, except the woses and the birds and beasts of this land." And he comes a little bit further and he sheathes his sword, and you see that it's an elf, tall, with dark hair, and he has a green cloak that he pulls down over his head. "I am Estedir."
Targon bows low. Feels with all this dark weight that's on his heart, he feels it still lift a little. Sight of bows low. I am Targon, Westerness.
I am Baranor, brother to Targon, son of Westerness.
And I am Hallas, brother to none by blood, but in arms I am also of Westerness.
Estedir comes a few steps further, and as he does so, it's as if the leaves part overhead and brilliant white light rains down upon him and upon you. And it seems as you look upon Rotheart that he is transforms somewhat into a more fair Ent, tall and strong. Gone are his rotten boughs and leaves, and he kind of sways in the wind. And the Ent kind of looks towards Estedir and stays knelt. Estedir kind of walks towards him and places his left hand on swaying branch's face, and then looks towards Baranor, Hallas, and Targon. This is amazing indeed. I have wandered these woods and mountains for nigh an age, and I have never seen such a thing. The enemy rises in the east, and yet you three come here against all odds. Indeed, it was the three of you that I saw in the mountains when I slew that host of orcs, was it not?
Indeed. It was well done. I fear though there were more of their kind. Perhaps they were not all slain. Banished. Whatever small remnant remains, pledged to destroy. Yeah.
Baranor nods, but he's silent, looking to Targon.
Yeah, Hallas is silent as well, knowing that they just went through where he was. Choosing his words, carefully waiting for the conversation to develop.
Estedir kind of walks closer to them. Which one of you guys had that scabbard?
Is it the one that it wasn't what Baranor found, right?
Might have been.
The cave.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the empty one?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I think that might have been me.
Yeah, I think that was Targon. I found the book. Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Estedir kind of walks forward and with his keen eyes kind of looks over the three of you, and swaying branch stands back up, and Estedir kind of looks at Targon. And it seems the surprises do not end. There. You say your name was Targon?
Yes.
How is it, after an age of this Middle Earth, that you have something that belongs to mine kin? And he unsheathes his sword again and points it down at the scabbard. These two, I dare say, are a match.
Targon looks surprised and then realizing what he should do, he tries not to look reluctant because that would just be girlish, but he's quite reluctant to let it go, but he takes the scabbard from his belt and says, "See that they are meant for each other. Yeah, they meant no offense. Great honor to carry it. Short."
Certainly no offense was taken. And he takes the scabbard and looks at it and looks at his sword. Ah, Alcamaril. Welcome home. And he sheaths it back again. Puts it back in the scabbard and holds it up. There are many tales to tell about this blade. But unless I am mistaken, the three of you are only partly through your journey. If you would have me, Swaying Branch, and myself, we would be glad to accompany you if that would be okay. You make your way to the Great River, is that correct?
Targon's eyes go wide with surprise and excitement. Kind of realizes he the others, and sort of he looks around to the others and He just wants to sort of.
Baranor looks at the two of them. We would be indeed honored by your presence and your companionship.
Travel in the presence of Eldar would be a great honor. So many questions. Travel this way for an age, and yeah, he kind of stops himself. But once they get traveling, he's going to have an endless stream of.
Yes, anyone that could kill orcs as good as you can join us in our party.
There you go. Should be here. Very good. Estedir then says, very well, and he puts the hood back over his cloak and sets off through the woods. He kind of very quickly strides into a thicket of green leaves, kind of disappearing, and kind of right after him, towering over you, is the Huorn, now known as Swaying Branch, and he disappears into the forest, waiting for you guys to follow. And you can hear Estedir's voice kind of call back through the swaying trees. Come hither! Do not delay! There is much to discuss. I have questions for you, and no doubt you have questions for me upon your journey. I dare say it is perhaps a day's journey to the river. Once we get there, you need to decide how you will cross.
Yeah, Baranor looks towards Targon and Hallas. Our journey might yet see a bright turn. After all, what does the shadow hold? And 3 men of Westerness, a talking tree, and an age-old elf are in companionship.
First time in a long time, Targon smiles genuinely. He seems hardly aware that he's genuine.
Baranor, without thinking or knowing, he smiles back. And at once his heart feels a little relieved and light, as if the presence of the elf has pushed away the dark and foreboding thoughts that have been swirling around him for the past few weeks. Come, we must not keep the elf waiting.
Yes. Come, Hallas. Targon claps him on.
Now that is a look of happiness I have not seen in a long time.
Oh. All he knows, think of all he's seen. He said he has walked these woods for an age. Might mean an age of the world. Sights he must have seen. And he's looking genuinely excited. He's always been, he's always been a big sort of fan of the elves, because he just read so many first stage stories and so many of the first stage elves. He always viewed elves as stepping out. To a certain extent, some of them do. does seem to have genuinely. How long it will last for, who knows? But right now,
Yeah, and Hallas, seeing his friend happy, would gleefully follow him into the woods.
follow clear on.
Let's see here. There we go. So you do follow Estedir and the Ent through the forest all the way into the night until the edge of this great forest, and then kind of you see down below you as the moon rises, you see a silver thread in the distance that no doubt is the Great River. But then at some point, Estedir says, "Well, we must rest now. Even we elves have need for rest and relaxation. Come hither. I shall craft a fire." He kind of walks towards a clearing in the forest and starts to move things around. The Ent kind of looks towards the three humans and shakes his head, and he says,
I never thought to be in this position. Elf, I will travel north to rejoin my kin. Perhaps I will see you again there, or perhaps not. Either way, to you three men of Westerness, I owe my eternal gratitude. Some disease that was in my heart, I feel, has been lifted. Perhaps there is hope yet in this age of Middle-earth.
and he kind of walks north into the woods, and then you kind of see him emerge onto the plain below, walking with great strides down towards the river. Estedir kind of looks on as the Huorn leaves, and he unstraps the sword from his belt and takes his bow and puts it on the ground, and then sets about making a fire.
Targon will go to help him, and really it's kind of an excuse to ask questions. This never-ending stream of questions starts. He'll obviously listen to the answers. So many questions. You remember Valerian? Do you remember the Undying Lands? Did you ever meet so and so? And what did the great battles at the end of the first stage look like? And all this kind of stuff. He's all these questions based on years of child. This guy there for any of the creative, never-ending series of. And yes, definitely.
I think I have a fire here somewhere. What's Hallas and Baranor doing here?
Baranor is just, helping set up camp. He's not saying much. He's just keeping an eye on Targon and Estedir, and kind of cocking one ear to listen in on their conversation. He's just making himself useful around the camp, but not saying anything directly to Estedir or Targon.
Estedir looks at Targon and then looks into the night as Baranor is on the perimeter of the firelight, maybe gathering wood or doing something else. And it's as if he can tell that something weighs heavy on both of their hearts. And he says to Targon, he says, I have not seen men in these parts for many, many years. Only the wozes and the beasts, and now, unfortunately, the orcs. And yet, here you are. Though I sense your hearts are troubled. Your brother, he cares for you deeply, Targon, yet to both of you it's as if a gulf is between the two souls of your two brothers who are close together on this journey, yet as far apart as if the great sea is between you. But I can tell you have much interest in old stories. Perhaps I can bring some sort of hope back into your life.
Hope is sorely needed. Targon will sort of tell him their story from starting with the arrived and evil spirit, and how every time things started looking better, some evil would thwart them in the gulf that's grown between him and Baranor. And he'll in doing that he'll admit some failings on his part. Won't really admit this darkness has been growing on him. He doesn't really understand it. But he will describe what was going on Baranor. He doesn't seem to have really realised that changed that night that had the commotion in the woods, but the stuff he's talking about as kind of evidence of growing darkness on will mainly be up to that point. From then on, it's actually just been really the bickering. He thinks the process has continued.
Estedir kind of looks again at Baranor on the periphery of the camp, and Targon. The firelight plays on his face, causing harsh shadows. He says, it is a difficult thing dealing with kin. You can be as close as brothers, or as close as uncles and nephews, and adventurers have a way of pulling folks apart. But from experience, I know, Targon, you must do your best to keep your brother close to you. Even if you do not see eye to eye, you will need to stand shoulder to shoulder when the time comes to stand against the enemy. Do you understand my meaning?
I do. He is my brother. I would not abandon him. I hope that he has not abandoned. Hate to even say such a shadow upon this land.
Indeed there is. Middle-earth has fallen under the dominion of shadow more than once, and I suppose it shall fall under the dominion of shadow again. But there are many still who fight. And he kind of looks towards the periphery of the fire, and you see two glowing fox eyes, and the fox is seemingly to smile before it kind of runs back into the night. And Estedir kind of looks to Targon. You asked me about the first age? You assume I am older than I am. But yes, I did live through the first age of Middle-earth, and I lost many that I love in that age. The age that is sung about in songs and poems and whatnot. I do not consider myself a great poet or musician, but I do play the harp from time to time. It keeps me company in these lonely forests, in these lonely mountains. And he kind of starts to uncover a satchel that was slung across his back, and it's this very small harp that he has with him.
Tim, this is
They
like
start-
Tim, this is like Elvis has just go. Oh, I've just got this new song. Not much. Do you want to hear it?
He looks to the sword kind of at his left hand and says, I can tell that you are quite interested in this blade. There is a story behind
Story I would be honored to hear.
it. And he starts to play the harp. And he starts to sing in a clear voice. And as he sings, you can see like those eyes from the fox appear again, and you hear birds kind of chittering in the branches as he starts to sing. And he sings, "In an age past came the fire, to green Dorthonion it ran screaming. From Angband a host most dire emerged, and the elven host gleaming. Stood before them as a wall most bold, the subject of songs of old. But the Dagor Bragulak swallowed up the brothers. Brave Angrod and Egnor fell upon the fields of flame, and live only in name. Only in name. And that green and verdant land was turned to ash, the friends of Finrod resisting, until of the Eldar two came at last, valiant Terenian and his nephew companion. Through dangers most dire, wolf and spider, they left their home beneath a starry dome. By the light of Elbereth they found the hidden kingdom. But of the elves it is said they ponder long, and rash Terenian knew the song. And with his nephew he left, finding Finrod Felagund, and they stood with him unto the end, unto the end. Upon Minas Tirith this song ends, with water flowing, wolves howling, and the horns of war blaring. To save his lord and Beleriand he defends, Terenian stood stalwart against the shadow. For Sauron loomed large like a dark tower, his mace aloft, and Terenian did not shudder, and in the end he scoffed. Bitter defiance against the Lord of Wolves, and though he fell, Finrod did not. Finrod did not. And as he sings, you all can hear him, and if you make a wisdom roll, you get a hope back.
Yes, yes. Let me spend hope on a wisdom roll to get some hope back.
Oh, hopeless. No. Doesn't just makes you sadder. Explain to me how this tale, it probably does make you sad, of the fall of the elves and the doom of Dorthonion, basically in the First Age, how it fell. And even though the elves stood stalwart and they saved Finrod Felagund from death, at least for a while,
Yeah.
they lost their homeland in the end.
yeah. We fought bravely, and a lot of people died, but we saved the High King. I mean, for a little while. It is quite a sad story. So yeah, I mean, Targon sort of takes from it that, oh wow, even these great heroes of old, they fought and they died, and they couldn't save their homeland. Oh, wow. So he was thinking, we've got hope now. We have an elf with us. It's hope is kindled, and it's just like, oh wait. So really, when you think about it, that was the story of how they lost. Oh, I see.
Hallas.
Yeah, Hollis is as he's listening to him sing, kind of drifts off and thinks about his own past adventures, some sad and happy, and he's kind of drawn back from it and realizing that this too, with the two brothers always bickering is might possibly end up in a sad state as well.
Baranor was in the middle of like picking up, twigs and branches that he could bring back to the fire. And as he starts hearing the song, he stops, kind of frozen in place, listening to the words. And when it ends, um, he comes to the realization of, here they are in the middle of Middle Earth, somewhere where no men have been seen forever, if the elf is to be believed. Here they are, the three of them, um, on their way to take on whatever the shadow is. Um, and if the songs of old are to be believed, then nothing stands and survives against the shadow. So, what hope do the three of them have? And he kind of starts, still frozen there. He's oblivious now to Hallas, Targon, or Estedir, and he's kind of standing there looking in towards the valley. Uh, maybe there is the moonlight glistening off the Anduin. He realizes that the three of them are not going to be enough. He realizes that um, it's vanity and pride that is right now fueling most of their adventure, not um, strategy or um, um, cunning. And that's the only thing that can fight against such evil.
Estedir looks at the three of you and looks at your downcast eyes as you look into the fire, and he says, I apologize. I know only sad songs. And he says, he kind of stands up and stretches a little bit, and he looks up into the starry sky. I do know elven hymns. Hymns to Elbereth Gilthonia, Our Lady of the Stars, but my journey here is a lonely one, as is yours. I seek the Ents and the Entwives. Swaying Branch is one of these, and, as I said before, I had lost hope for him. It was pity that stayed my hand. I had been thinking of slaying him for the last week, following him through the forest, watching him. But now, well, things have changed. I plan to journey north along the river if you would join me. There's rumor there of more of his kind. Do you plan to journey up the river, or to south, or to continue further east?
Do a plan to go further east.
Yeah.
So yeah, Targon will say, path lies to the shadow. Rest and remnant of Gallum.
I see. Very well. I shall accompany you as far as the river. But then, if you continue east, you need to find your way across. There are no bridges across the Anduin, but as of late there are spires of smoke rising from the eastern shore, and rumors of men upon boats. Perhaps they could ferry you across. Or, I suppose we could search out Swaying Branch and his kin. Ents are tall, and I suppose they could ferry us across as well. It's up to you.
Never travelled by Ent before. Back to the or used to boats. Western Est.
Estedir looks to Hallas and Targon and Baranor. Very well then. At first light of the morning we will head down to the river. We will see what is upon the river and if there is a way across. The three of you can get some sleep. I will stand watch throughout the night. I do not fear any evil in these lands. Perhaps a good night's rest will buoy your hearts.
Smiles dim. Smiles tinged with sadness. Realizes shadows even touch the lives of pretty. A lot of that happiness, that lightness that was about him yesterday. Back to bad moment. Still looks grateful to Estedir as he. I will take my rest. Looks like he's that's Baranor. Sleep well, brother.
Hallas taking the last swig of his brandy to keep him warm through the night. Here's Targon. Wish him a good night and looks to him as well. You do. You too. For I shall sleep like I haven't slept in ages. Perhaps this is what we need. It's a good night's rest.
I agree. Sleep well, my brothers. And with that, Baranor kind of is close by the fire, but away from all of them. He kind of sits cross-legged and looks back towards the valley, towards that glimmer, which is the Anduin under the moonlight. And eventually he just, kind of rocks back, lays on the ground, and before you know it, his eyes are shut and he's in deep sleep.
The three of you sleep quite peacefully, with Estedir standing watch. Any reservation you had about being unsafe probably goes away. Yet the peaceful sound of the birds kind of in the trees, the nightingales chirping, kind of lulls you to sleep with the crackle of the fire. And as you wake in the morning, there are, let's see here, let me find a good scene. Here we go. Anduin, autumn. There we go. Can you guys see this when your tokens aren't up or not?
Oh, I see it.
Okay.
My token's up though.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because in Roll20, like a lot of times you can't see unless your token's on the actual slide. If you wake in the morning and the sun rises in the east, and you kind of go the rest of the way down from the foothills down towards the Anduin. And as you do so, you notice that many of the trees have started to change color, and you head down to the river and then turn left, kind of following it north. Every once in a while, kind of miles and miles probably across the shore, you'll see the what looks to be fires, not like huge infernos, but probably campfires or chimneys from houses. And you travel further along the river looking for a ford and a way across. During that entire kind of trek, Estedir does his best not to tell you more depressing stories of the First Age, but he does tell you tales about the great river and how its course flows from the mountains far, far from the north, down over great falls that he says are many, many leagues to the north, and then flows eventually out into the bay. He says that the river has been used by both men and other creatures for many long years for a way of travel, and that there used to be many bridges across the river in ages past, but because of wars and famine and strife, most of those bridges have fallen into the water. Every now and then you come across ruins on the western side of the river. The Estedir kind of explains to you likely were the dominion of men in the ages past when they dwelt under the shadow of Morgoth. And in those areas you do not tarry for long at all. And eventually you see far, far ahead what look to be little small fishing boats of sorts on the river. I'll let you guys kind of take it away. Here we go. Activate. So Estedir kind of leads you up to the shore, and he kind of points ahead as he sees a couple of small fishing boats along the river. He says, "There we are. Perhaps these boats can ferry you across."
Boats. Thank you. Our road becomes darker from here. Get the Eldar shone. Thank you, Estedir. Light of the West.
Your words are fair, Targon. Let your deeds also be valiant. You and your brother have a large part to play in this tale. I have gathered that much by looking into your eyes. And also remember, even the end is not the end. And he gives a bow, and he straps on Alcamaril onto his waist and slings his bow across his back and packs his harp in a silken cloth and then slings that upon his back as well. And he salutes the three of you and heads off into the bulrushes, and you don't see him anymore.
And we'll go with a mix of two sadnesses, really. Finally spending a bit more time in the company of Elf now going. The other one is that having thought of the first stage as this era of glories, heroes, now thinks of it age so nearly ended, beat of everything, shadow, so much sorrow. And that the elves are not invincible. Very quiet and
Baranor sees the elf depart and wonders to himself, will this be the last time that their paths cross? He looks across the Anduin and he sees the smoke rise from small settlements along the other bank. I wonder who these people are, how they came to be here. Do they get harried and harassed by the shadow? If so, who protects them? Are they thriving?
fearful mind. The orcs have had enough. Sickened. Hearts of but anyway, darkness. Orcs with swords again. Corruption that creeps through the ground and into the hearts. Darkness. Grip of fear upon my heart. Last night we spirit. Distant.
Perhaps this is why we are pulled to come this direction. To seek out what makes the forest ill. See what it is, what causes it. It should make for a grand adventure. What do you think?
A grand adventure indeed.
That is the spirit. Do not show fear into the unknown. Embrace it for what it is.
But I think what we started this journey, where we are now and how it's going to end, is not what we planned for. Very soon a choice will be put in front of us. Either we are men of Westerness, just upon these lands to take what we can and go back home with the riches and live a comfortable, insulated life, or we stay here as men of Westerness on this Middle Earth, not partaking in any riches, not driven by any goal of bringing a house back to fame. No. But the goal is to help a people to push a shadow, to resist evil. I think the moment we cross this river, that decision might get made for us. So I ask each of you to think about it. Because once we cross and find ourselves on the other side amongst these people, what we find and how we choose to parlay with it will determine the days to come and the lives we lead. Adventure was all fine when we first got off our ships. But it is clear now that our actions, both taken and not, have consequences on this land.
At that point, as the three of you kind of are on the shore in the bulrushes, one of the boats starts to change course and starts to head in your direction. You can hear the oars smacking on the water and clunking up against the wooden hull of the small fishing boats. You hear a voice of a male youth kind of saying, "Here there! Over there! On the shore! No, no, no! Not beasts! They look to be men! Come on! Come on now! Let's go see what's up there!" They get closer and closer, and you see a young man kind of with his dog. What's the dog's name? Let's come up with a good dog name. But he has a dog with him on this fishing boat, and he comes closer and closer. You can see his face. It's a young man, not even a bit of stubble on his face. He's probably 14 or 15 years old. Dark hair falling in dark oily locks around his face. He has a pale blue tunic on that's smeared with grime, and kind of on the side of his boat is a stringer that looks filled with fish, and he kind of comes closer and closer to you.
Targon will raise a hand. Hello there. You on the boat? Travelers. Seek the far shore. You give us a ride for a little coin?
And the boy and the dog, and he gets closer and closer, and then he looks at you. There we go. Oh, what did I say there, Archer? Yeah, they seem to be men, and tall men at that. The boy looks a little bit afraid and pulls up the boat, like 10 yards off the shore, and he takes the oars and kind of just treads water with it. You know, it's a very slack current here, and you look down, and it looks to be like a dog, like a border collie looking dog, and it's kind of panting. The boy kind of looks at you. I have no need of coin. On the other hand, I do fear there are lots of brigands about these days, and I've never seen a man on this side of the river. How did you get over there?
Travelled far.
Traveled far from where? No good can come of it. What do you think, Archer?
We have travelled from the sea to the mountains. Travelling further still. Seek to find what lies to the east. Dark tales. Seek to pit ourselves against that darkness. Swords are bright. Hearts are... You know he's about to say our hearts are true, and then he holds over it. Full of courage. Face whatever awaits us in the east. Whatever courage we can. He's kind of scrambling for his word a little bit there at the end. And say the kind of thing he used to say with absolute sincerity, and now he really finds he can't. Still sort of bows on. So, you carry us across? I am Targon, far westernest. Who might you be?
I'll get my Archer. Why it's the same as Brenban? I've got a dog.
Dog looks just...
I know. Hang on a second. I'm making my dog. Import token. There we go. Update. Close. Ah, there we go. His name should be Archer. Good name for a pup, eh? Update. There we go. Yeah, Brenban rows the boat just a little bit closer to get a good look at you guys. You are, all three of you are like 2 heads taller than him. And he says, oh my, the 3 of you are so tall. I never seen such a thing. Archer kind of looks at the 3 of you. And, well, the 3 of you give me a courtesy roll to see if Archer likes you.
Is this what it's come to?
This is what it's come to.
Wow, doesn't even like Hallas. This dog's way too big.
Nothing?
It's not a dog,
Okay.
it's a demon.
Yeah, its eyes are all wrong.
So Brimban kind of gets a little closer and he says, I don't know. My father has warned me never to come over to the Western Shore. I do not think I should take you over. But alas, I could go fetch my father. He is a chieftain in these parts. What is your name? Who is your leader?
Our leader is a great prince of our people, but he is not with us. Returned across the sea.
Across the sea? Great prince?
I am Targon of House Nimrazir. This is my brother Baranor, and our good friend Hallas, who stood alone against a host of brigands. We'll be glad to tell you the story.
Speak as if you're from a fairy tale. I know nothing of princes. Only chieftains and hamlets in this area. And what of the sea? There's no one across the sea. Come now. Are you playing a joke? Is this from my older brother?
No joke. Our travelers from a far land. If you were to give us a ride across the river, why, you could hear our tales. Hallas alone has tales, many to last 10 such journeys.
You say you have coin? Let me see it. Throw it here.
Perhaps not all of it. And Hallas, talking about Hallas too much. I haven't.
That's fine. You can just throw him a coin
Yeah.
because he's a kid and he's going to see like it's probably crazy looking from Numenor, and he's going to be stricken with you guys.
He's going to be with us the way Targon was with Estedir.
Yeah, probably.
We'll just take his youthful excitement and make him sad.
So as you flip him a coin, he kind of catches it. He almost drops it into the water, like it clinks on the bottom of the boat, and he dives after it. He picks it up and like looks at it in his hand. It's glittering in the morning light. And he says, "Oh me, Archer, I've never seen such a thing. Where's this coin from? Again, across the sea?" At first I didn't believe it. But you are strange. Very well. Come aboard, I'll take you to my father. Oh, he'll have questions for you, no doubt, but you'll be safe.
Thank you. Once the boat's close to the shore, I'll go wade out and get him.
Yeah, Hollis would follow suit. Taking care through the muck, not to get stuck. Looking at the demon dog that's barking at him.
I'm trying to find a nice dog on Serenscape.
Hollis tips the boat over, make sure the dog falls out.
No! So Brimban and Archer kind of get you guys all in the boat, and he starts to row his way across if you guys all come in the boat. And he will row you over to the other side and start to let you off. He hops out of the boat first. Archer kind of leaps out into the water briefly and maybe swims 10 yards and then gets out into the shore. And Archer kind of goes up next to Hallas and shakes himself off, spraying all the water onto Hallas. And then he starts to bark at him.
The dog's bark sounds peculiar.
Oh, he's taking a liking to you. And he's never seen someone so tall.
Yes. Well, hopefully we all don't come away smelling like wet mutt.
And as you get on to the next shore, let me change the. You hear a horn. And then you hear the sound of horses fast approaching you, and down from over the hill come a dozen horses kind of running down towards you, and you hear another horn blare. And I think that's where we'll end it for tonight. That's it for tonight, I think. We'll stop it there.